Hello everyone, welcome into Fatty's Feast, where we make the best food you'll ever eat without leaving your backyard. My name is Josh, and today we are going to be seasoning up and temperature testing this Old Country Generation 2 smoker. Let's get started. Okay, I am so excited today for two reasons. The first being, it's Christmas Eve and it's 67 here in Nashville. I could literally be in shorts and a t-shirt, but I put my shorts away for the winter, so that's not happening. But also because we're out here doing this test. Now, I walked through the features of this smoker in the previous video. I released that a few weeks ago. If you haven't checked that out, please check out the description. The link is right there. Now, a lot of the comments on that video were very mixed. Some pro, some con, some meh. Now, a lot of the pro comments were regarding the price. I mean, this smoker is pretty affordable in terms of what a quality offset smoker would cost you. However, a lot of the con comments were regarding stepping up from this smoker to the Pecos or the Brazos, mainly because of the cooking chamber size, and a lot of you didn't think the features were really necessary or weren't worth the extra money. So today we're going to see if that's the case. Are the features worth the extra money? Is the insulated firebox going to make a difference? Is the smoke collector going to make a difference? The stack, some of the bells and whistles on the inside. We're gonna find out. All right, so first we're gonna walk through installing the temperature probes on the lid. Next, we'll walk through the seasoning process. And lastly, we'll do the fun part. That's right, a biscuit test. We'll see how even this cooker really is. All right, so in review, we got 3 probe holes, one on either side and one up at the top. All I'm gonna be doing is installing them in these 2 spots, and I'm using these Old Country BBQ Pits smoker and grill 3-inch temperature gauge. These are pretty cheap from Academy Sports, links in the description. All right, so we'll start just by taking these out, and these you can just finger loosen and take right out. They're not that tight. And the nice part about this design is you can just throw these back in if you want to take one of your probes out. There's no drilling or cutting or holes or anything like that. And this guy, as you can see, 3-inch stem. It's just got this nut that loosens right off. So let me take that guy off, open our lid, and now I'm gonna stick this guy right in here. Now, just note you might have to finagle it a little bit to get it at the right angle where it fits in. You shouldn't really have to really crank it or anything like that. We're just gonna get that nice and tight, and that should fit in pretty snug, and then we'll just finger tighten our nut on right there. Let's give you a view from the other side here. It might take you a second, like I said, to figure out where the thread actually connects, but you don't want to force the thing. It will work. There we go, just like that. And just be very careful if you're using this to turn it. You don't want to screw the thing up or get it out of place or mess up the calibration. So that's why I try to use the stem in the back. And notice this one's not as even. That's okay, I don't want to force it. And now if we shut her down, this is what we got. So like I said, that one is not flush. That's gonna bother some people, but that's just how it is. This one looks perfectly fine. Now, could you do this after you season the smoker? Absolutely, but we're doing our temp test, so I wanna kind of see where our temperature's at using those thermometers. Plus, I don't wanna deal with attaching something to a hot smoker. So let's season this guy up. Okay, so we're gonna start with the firebox. We're doing what I always do, using some PAM. This is just the easiest way to season a smoker, in my opinion. There have been studies done about using certain types of oil, like linseed oil, to season your smoker, and that it may be toxic. I don't really know. I just stick with this stuff because I know it's food safe and it gets the job done, most importantly. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start by taking this guy out. And the lighting kind of sucks here, but I'm just gonna go on the inside, give this guy a nice spray down. We're trying to really hit all corners here. Then I'll just do the same with this grate. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna end up using this thing in the long run, but just in case, we'll coat her down. And we can't forget the door. And next, our cooking chamber. So I'm gonna take all this stuff out. And before you do this, make sure you have a drip pan down there because it'll get messy. We're gonna start up at the door, at the top, and work our way down to the bottom. Now I'll take each one of these guys, the baffle plate, the tuning plate, and lastly, our cooking grates. And we'll shut her down. Now you might be asking why I didn't start a fire in the smoker first. You could. I just like to have a cold smoker to start so I can lift those grates up and tuning plates and all that stuff. Also, this took about a half can of this stuff. So if you're planning on doing the entire smoker inside and out, get a full can, you should be fine. I'm actually gonna use the rest of this and probably do an additional coat on the inside because it can't hurt. Also, you may remember me saying in the walkthrough video that I might not use the grate in the firebox or the baffle and tuning plate in the cooking chamber. However, I seasoned those anyway, or I should say I coated those with oil anyway, just in case. And even if I don't, if I put them in my shed, they'll still be safe because they'll be seasoned and they won't rust. So let's get a fire lit. Okay, you'll notice I used paper to start this fire, mainly because I don't have charcoal and I'm not really cooking anything other than biscuits today, so I don't really care that much. But at this point, we don't know what size splits we need. If I were to guess, we could use splits a little bit bigger than we did in the Brazos in the past, which were about, 7 inches, 6 inches. That's about 6 inches, right? But I'm thinking same width. So I have some splits here. These are like, I don't know, 10 inches, and then by like 2 inches across. So I'm gonna start by stacking these up because we wanna get this pit very, very hot in order to bond that oil to the metal. And then we can screw around with bigger splits because we don't care about temperatures yet. And this is the fun part about seasoning a smoker and doing test burns, is you can figure out what size wood you need and what happens when you do certain things. All right, let's do 5 splits, the last guy going on top. If you're actually cooking something, I wouldn't recommend loading your firebox up this much, but we're trying to season this guy. Notice I did open this chamber up, and we're gonna close it down now. And now that that fire is getting toasty, I'll shut this guy down to just about there. We're gonna let this pit get pretty hot, get that fire nice and roaring, and we'll come back in about 10-15 minutes. All right, it's been about 15 or 20 minutes. Let's take a look at our temps. On the far side near the firebox, we are looking at, I can't even read that. What does that say? About 275, and remember we still have the baffle and tuning plates in. And then on this side, we're way high. We're at 325. If I back up a little bit, you can see burning a pretty damn clean fire. And you'll see a good amount of smoke. That's just from the oil burning off that got on the outside. First observation, this handle ain't hot at all. Let's lift it up, and we can see some of the oil is still pooling a little bit, so we want to get this guy a little bit hotter. The inside of the lid's looking pretty damn fine, if you ask me. All right, if I grab this handle here, this is a bit hot. So I definitely recommend gloves if you're gonna do this. It's not burning my hand, obviously, but it's not the most comfortable. All right, I got me some new fire tongs just for the hell of it, but I think I want to actually use my shovel in here. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, look at that. Wow, we got a nice coal bed going now. So now I want to do a little bit of an experiment. We're going to use these size splits. As you can see, they're about, these are about like 14, 15 inches and pretty good inch across, not an inch, like 3 inches across, 4 inches. These are the splits I'd use in the Patriot Pits 120, but we're going to see if they work in this thing because we got to get this thing hotter anyway. So let's see. And looking at that, those are actually catching pretty damn quickly. I would never burn splits this size in my Brazos, but I think that insulated firebox is making a huge difference. All right, let's shut this door down, and notice I had it closed all the way. I noticed these vents are actually working very well and maintaining a clean fire, surprisingly. Let's also use my gun here and take some temps. 155 on the outside of the firebox. As we get down a little bit, same amount. I mean, that's some great insulation there. It's actually hottest all the way at the top, surprisingly. What about over here on the door? Yeah, you can see that's a little bit hotter because the door's not insulated. Let's take a look at the exterior here. Yeah, farther you get down here, a little bit hotter it gets, but over here, you're looking at about 10 degrees, 20 degrees, not bad. Let's take a look at the collector too. Oh yeah, okay, 226. So about 190 here. You can see that collector is really doing its job. As you can see, we got some good smoke rolling off this thing, not because of dirty smoke, but because our oil is burning off and mending to the metal. So typically when you're seasoning, you want to get your pits up to about 400 degrees, if not more, just one time. I mean, you're just trying to get that oil really adhered to the metal. All right, so that's basically the seasoning process. I'm going to empty the rest of that can on the interior of the smoker after about 15 more minutes of letting this go. But there's 3 things I want to mention regarding the seasoning process. First thing, wear clothes you don't care about. I mean, that should be said for any time you use an offset smoker. I try to use dirty clothes or near dirty clothes so I can throw them right in the wash. But especially with dealing with the oil, yeah, we're using a can, we're using spray. It's not going everywhere. We don't have a bunch of rags laying around, but you're still going to coat yourself in a little bit of oil. So don't wear your Sunday best when you're conducting the seasoning process. This literally is my Sunday best. I'm the worst. The next thing you might be asking, especially if you're new to barbecue, is why do we season? And there's really two reasons. The first, we're trying to prevent rust. Obviously, with a smoker that's made of metal, you're going to trap moisture, especially on the inside. Whether that's from the wood or the cooking or the water pan, it's going to have moisture. And moisture on metal causes rust, right? So we spray the inside of the smoker. First thing we do, we don't do any cooking until we do this in order to protect it. And that's going to increase the longevity of it. If you keep your smoker well seasoned, the thing will last a lifetime and you should really have no problems with rust, especially on a smoker with thicker steel. And as I'm standing here, we're just getting to about 400 degrees. That was pretty quick. And then the next reason we season, and this one is kind of overlooked, is to prevent ash from getting on our food. So sometimes you'll have a really ashy fire, especially if you use paper. You want to try to prevent that as much as possible, but you will have ash. You're working with fire, and seasoning the inside of the smoker will actually allow the ash to kind of bond to the sticky surface. You make it a little bit tacky. So when your hot gases from the firebox come into the cooking chamber and start spinning and being turbulent, a lot of that ash will end up sticking. And by the time it gets to your food, it should be pretty much ash-free. And if you ever look at the area about right here, closest to the firebox, you'll notice it'll be covered in like kind of soot, ash, creosote, and that's what we want. We don't want any of that stuff getting on our food. I mean, some eventually will, unfortunately, but if you season the smoker properly, you'll prevent a lot of it. And the last thing I want to address is why I didn't season the outside of the smoker. I typically do. I did it on my Brazos, but I kind of started thinking, and I want to try something. Now, first of all, this smoker isn't raw metal, it's painted. So that should add a layer of protection. Unlike the Patriot Pits 120, that was bare metal. That had to be seasoned. Jay did that himself before I got the smoker. But if you have a smoker that's raw metal, you definitely want to season the outside. Seasoning the outside of this won't hurt, but I'm not doing it because I want to see if it's actually necessary. So I'm going to see if this thing starts rusting at all. The firebox is usually the first part to rust, but I noticed on my Brazos, I only really got rust around the firebox lid, like where the hinges were. That was really the only spot that ever gave me an issue. So I may not have to season the outside. But earlier when I brought up the type of oil you want to use for seasoning the inside, like I said, I always stick with PAM or something that's food safe. You can use something like boiled linseed oil on the outside. That works so well. A lot of people swear by it, and you can literally just rub the thing down and put it outside and it'll be fine. All right, looking at our temp gauges, we're at 400 on either side. I'm gonna give this guy one more coating of oil on the inside. We'll let it do its thing. We'll let the temperatures come down to about 250 degrees, and then we'll conduct our temperature test. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been actually probably about 45 minutes now, and I'm still not ready to do the biscuit test, but I wanted to comment on some things. First of all, this handle that I had concerns about getting hot, it's getting hot. But that's because the smoker was at 450 degrees. When it was down at 225, 250, 275, I didn't notice it. I can still grab it, I can still open it, but yeah, it's hot. Now, hopefully that's not an issue because you won't be cooking briskets at 450 degrees, but my concern about this getting hot isn't a concern until you get to those higher temperatures. Next, let me show you our gauges here. You know, it's 375 here near the firebox, and this one's at 325-ish. Pretty damn hot, but like I just said, we've been out here for 45-ish minutes since I last filmed, and if I open our firebox, that's what we got in there. I don't have any wood burning other than those coals. Now, if this were the Brazos, we would be at like 180 degrees by now. But this insulated firebox is really doing the trick. It's keeping those temperatures. The other thing I'll mention, these hinges on this door are probably gonna need to be greased or something, or I can spray some oil on there. I mean, they're getting tight with the smoker heating up. Maybe when it cools down, it won't be an issue, but like you can see me, like I'm really pulling this thing. So might just need to be worn in a little bit. I'll spray that with some oil. All right, it's just about 4 o'clock and obviously it's gonna be dark in like 10 minutes. Stupid. But I'm gonna open this door up, try to get some of this heat out of the smoker, put some more wood on, and then we'll fire up our biscuits. All right, so first we're gonna put some temp probes in, one on the end, one near the firebox, one in the center, and one at the top center. And we'll take our probes, ta-da. And not a sponsor, but our Pillsbury Grands Southern Home Style is what we're using today. Oh yeah, we got 8 of these guys. I'm gonna try to evenly space them out. I'm gonna do one up top over here for good measure. And we'll let them go. Now, if you've never seen a biscuit test, let me explain. Basically, we're doing a biscuit test to see how our smoker will cook food. Simple enough, right? Now, yes, we want to know the temperature of the smoker. That's why we have our probes inside. And I'm really doing that to compare between those and the external thermometers, but those won't give you a good representation of how food will cook on the smoker. So we use biscuits because they're kind of sensitive and there's a lot of variables that go along with them, and we can watch them rise. We can see how long they take to cook, if there's different color associated with each biscuit. So you can really learn a lot. Plus, they're cheap and you can have them in the morning with biscuits and gravy. It's a win-win. Now, in my Patriot Pits test, I actually tried the bread test that somebody mentioned to me. I didn't like that because bread doesn't really cook as fast, surprisingly. I don't understand why. But also, all you really get from bread is color. You don't get rising. You don't get a real good sense of time. So yeah, you can have burnt bread in hot spots and slightly cooked bread in other spots, but the biscuits just give us a better indication. At least in my experience, that's what I found. And also, you guys are in for a real treat because not only are we doing a biscuit test, we're doing 2 biscuit tests. That's right. Why are we doing that? Well, I want to see if that baffle or tuning plate make any difference in our evenness of temperatures. Now, on the Brazos, I found that the baffle that pushes the heat down to come up kind of in the middle right here didn't really do me any favors. I actually burned quite a few briskets because of that thing. So I didn't really like it, and I'm assuming I'm not gonna like this one. But there is that added tuning plate. I tried doing tuning plates in the Brazos. I didn't like that either. It didn't make a huge difference. So for fairness, I wanted to try the smoker as it comes with all of the features, and then we'll take those features out and test it just old school, no additional bells and whistles. And we'll see if those improvements are actually improvements that enhance performance. I also reached out to Old Country regarding the tuning plate, asking where I should position it for best performance. They just said put it wherever you feel is necessary. So I just tucked it next to the baffle plate with the holes closer to this end of the smoker. So we'll see if that helps or not. I'm not sure. So let's take a look at our probes. So this is where the lack of a shelf kind of annoys me because I have this thing down here. But if we look at the top number, that 343 is closest to the firebox, 325 is in the middle, 310's up top, and then 391 is closest to the stack. So much hotter down near the stack, surprisingly. And that 310 number is kind of shocking because when you think about a smoker, heat's rising up, and usually one of the hottest spots in the smoker is where the top grate is. And that's probably because of the tuning plate and baffle. And then on the bottom grate, 333 right in the middle, that's the coolest spot, also surprising. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. Let's check it out. All right, so as predicted, this is what we have. These guys down here are much darker, but we can see these guys cooked up pretty quick. Those are pretty dark. Let's check this guy out back here. You know, same thing. But these guys here look pretty evenly cooked comparing all these and that guy. So pretty even if we're talking down this way. It's just right at the end where that temperature got really hot. Those guys burnt. This one, similarly, up top, not bad at all. So let's get these guys off into my bowl. And now the fun part. Oh, it's gonna suck. We're gonna take this thing out and the baffle. Ow, there we go. Slide her back in, reset our probes, pop, and round 2. Unbelievable, amazing. Now look at that dirty smoke we got coming out of here. You see any smoke coming out of this door? There's nothing. I mean, that's a good amount of smoke. I'm trying to put it on camera best so you can see. There would be smoke leaking from here. That door design really surprises me. I was concerned with this exterior lip that you get bleeding, but I haven't seen any this whole entire time. So really good on them, that's amazing. All right, so we dropped in temperature a little bit, but note 200 here, just over 200 there. That one's going up pretty quick in real time. And then the fun part, down here, the probe closest to the fire is at 432. I might need to move that. 221 directly in the center, 260 at the collector and stack, and 380 up top. I don't want to ruin this probe, so we'll take that out. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. Let's take a look at our temperatures. That one, 275. This one, can't really see it because of the light. It's 270, 260-ish. So pretty even across the board. Let's take a look down here. Don't pay attention to the top one. That's out. 264 in the center on the bottom. 363 up top. 282 near the collector. So pretty damn even other than this spot. But even that, like, that's not bad at all. And let's check out our Bisquicks. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. What is this guy doing? This biscuit was the one that was right there. As we could tell, the temperature was very hot. So I walked away for 2 minutes, I came back, and it was burnt to shit. So I just moved it originally, right about here, burnt the other side, and then I threw it off to here. So this one is pretty burnt. If you didn't know, with no baffle or no protectant here, this gets very hot right there. The one up top we can see is the most done because it is hotter up top because we took that baffle and tuning plate out. But check this shit out, guys. So even right here, that's not far from the firebox. Not burnt at all. Very evenly cooked. Even the guy in back. Look at this. Perfect. These guys look exactly the freaking same. And down here, exactly the same. They're all the same. So literally from like this other biscuit was right there. It gets cool or starts to cool down right here. So you lose this space, but that's where you're going to have your water pan anyway, probably. And then also right here is going to be very hot as well. So literally right from here all the way down is the space you're going to get for cooking. So you can do 2 smaller briskets, 3 pork butts, 3 racks of ribs. It's really not too bad. All right, before we go, I want to share with you my final thoughts about this smoker. Going back to the negative comments that people left in the previous video about how they wouldn't upgrade from the Brazos or the Pecos to this. I understand the concerns, I really do. But I kind of agree. Mainly it's because of the cooking space. Very similar cooking space on this guy. I think the Brazos, looking at it, is a little bit bigger, maybe by like a few inches, not even. But I think the ease of use that you get with this thing is the real benefit. And that's why I would say this is, beyond a doubt, the best beginner backyard smoker on the market. A lot of people that left those comments just said they'd rather spend up and buy a smoker that's $4,000 or something like that. And that's fine. If you're upgrading, like I went from the Brazos to this thing behind me, the 120, that's a reasonable upgrade. I spent money on that. Is an upgrade from a $1,200 smoker to a $1,900 smoker worth it? Not really, in my opinion. But I would say if you're new to barbecue and you have the money saved to buy a pit like this, you should go for it. And the reason I'm saying that is because I struggled with my Brazos. Previous to this thing, I thought the Brazos was the best beginner pit on the market. It really was. But there were design flaws, but you weren't paying for a top quality smoker. It was a smoker built to last. It performed fine, but you definitely had some frustration trying to learn how to use it, especially starting out. First of all, the insulated firebox, that's a game changer. Oh, someone in my last video said, there's no such thing as a game changer. Yeah, this is literally a game changer, this whole thing. The insulated firebox makes life so much easier. I walked away from this thing multiple times. The temperatures didn't change. With my Brazos, if I did that, sure enough, I would have within 5 minutes a spike or a dip, and I'd have to recover. I'd have dirty smoke. It'd be burning shit. Doesn't happen here. And even that grate in the bottom that I thought I was going to take out, I might just leave it. It's really fine. I think it's because the holes are a little bit smaller than they are on the Brazos. But you can put big splits in here. I wouldn't go to the size splits that I use on my 120, but the ones I showed at the beginning of the video, the 10 inchers by like 2 inch, those work completely fine. You don't have to cut 16-inch splits in half or anything like that. It's great. You could even use probably 16-inch splits, but keep that diameter around 1.5 to 2 inches. But the insulated firebox, huge improvement. The next thing, the lack of smoke leaking from the door. I think that's amazing. There are smokers on the market that cost $5,000 that leak smoke like you wouldn't believe. This door design, I don't know what they did, but it works very well. I love how the stack is bigger and the collector, I think that makes a huge difference. I wish the collector was the full diameter of the smoker. It's not. Does that make a huge difference? I think when you get toward the end down there, you definitely have some hotter areas where that heat is coming together in one central point. If it were the whole diameter of the smoker, you wouldn't have that hot spot. And I saw that on some of the biscuits at the end when we had the plates in the bottom. As far as the tuning and baffle plate go, not sure how I feel about them. Honestly, I'm probably going to leave them out because I'm old school. I like putting my meat over here and maximizing my cooking space. But I also like having the hottest part of the smoker at the top so I can finish off wings or ribs or whatever I'm doing. I can throw that up there. Now, will I use the top ever on this smoker? Probably not. Mainly because the space between the top and the grate isn't that much, and the grate's pretty small in general. But I will say we had even temps between the firebox and about here when we had those plates in. So if we take that into consideration, this is the hottest spot of our smoker, so we could take our food and we could cook it down in this area. I mean, I wouldn't really want to put something still down here. It'd probably still get a little hot, but we have the middle of the smoker. Now, my problem with that is I kind of feel like it's a waste of energy. And what I mean by that is you have all this fuel and heat and gas coming into your cooking chamber, and it's getting pushed down, going up like around here. So I feel like a lot of it is just traveling up the bottom, going to the collector, and because it's collecting over here, that makes it the hottest point in the smoker. So yeah, you're gonna get smoke flavor and you're gonna cook your food, obviously, but I just feel like you're wasting a lot of that energy by having those two things in there. Will me putting the tuning plate here without the baffle help? I don't know. Will keeping the baffle in help? I highly doubt it, because I think it functions the same way as the Brazos. But I'll try both of them out, and if I figure it out, I'll get back to you guys. But for now, I'm just gonna leave them out because that's what I'm used to. So those benefits within themselves make me believe this is the best backyard smoker on the market. And I think beginners, if you are new to smoking and you want to dabble in offset cooking, this will change your life. Mainly it's the ease of use. That's what it comes down to for me. I really, really like it. And I am so mad I didn't start with this smoker. It wasn't out at the time. But if I had had this smoker when I started out, it would have saved me so much frustration. Once again, not hating on the Brazos, but it does take some time to learn, just like this one will take some time to learn. But that thing took me a while, and it just wasn't as easy, and I like simplicity. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Fatty's Feast. If you did, as always, just obliterate that like button. I'm going to use that term now because smashing, it's just getting overused. Obliterate the shit out of that like button and leave a comment of things you want to see me make on this smoker, on that smoker, on my grill, on my griddle that I'll get maybe eventually. I'm kind of poor right now, so we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts on this smoker? Do you agree with what I said? Do you own one? Do you still think it's a waste of money? I don't think it is. I think it's great. I'm excited to cook some stuff on here and really run it through its paces. But let me know in the comments below. Over here, I'm gonna slap a video specifically designed for your taste. You're gonna love it, so check it out. And then over here, I'm gonna put a smoker how-to playlist. Hours of entertainment just for you all about how to do things on smokers. I don't know. Smack dab in the middle, as always. Bald, bearded, all around average, and diabetic as hell face. If you love it so much, you can subscribe to see more of me. And until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, and happy 2024.